Before my 10 minutes start, I'd like to request the chairman, as an elected member of the CRA Project Area Committee, for an additional minute of speaking time. Thank you very much. First of all, thanks for listening to me, even though I know you disagree with everything I said today. The bottom line is I'm speaking to you now as a representative, not a representative of the board, but as an elected representative and as well as a taxpayer. You have 16 items from my district that I've been elected to represent, worth over $61 million, that have not appeared before the board I was elected to. You are disenfranchising the poor, minority, and white, like me, members of the Ball Heights, Lincoln Heights, and El Sereno area. I find that offensive and, more importantly, illegal. You've got on here the biomed focus area that I talked about. And they are wrong. They're lying to you about that area. In their own presentation materials, it says you'll have to have a master's or a doctorate degree to work in these factories, and they will eliminate low-income factories, the tortilla factories I mentioned, the garment factories. But the ironic thing about the biomed focus areas, which we're talking about, the half 450,000 that's on here, is not only has it not been before the board, but we have agendized to eliminate this district. Our PAC has agendized to ask you folks to eliminate this district. It's a fact. You also have $20 million for the Sears Tower. We were told by the district, by the CRA folks, that this was not going to be done. More importantly, the firefighters union. You've created a movement. You guys are wonderful. I love it. Make it $2 billion. The firefighters union announced to the city council the other day that they are in favor of the CRA, the Governor Brown's proposal to eliminate CRAs in the entire state. A union, I might point out. Also, last night, an historic move. LA 32 Neighborhood Council, which represents El Sereno, voted on the following thing: 13-1. You've created a revolution, and it's going to go away no matter what happens to Mr. Brown. Proposal: motion that LA 32 Neighborhood Council support Governor Jerry Brown's proposed state budget that eliminates the looming $25 billion deficit by eliminating redevelopment agencies across the state, including the Los Angeles Community Redevelopment Agency, if and only if the CRA's tax increment money is redirected back to local schools and local government as announced. I have another minute, understand? So what do we got? We got a PAC that voted unanimously to eliminate your agency. Now you have a neighborhood council, a key one, voting 13-1. Tonight, another neighborhood council is voting that I will be speaking for to eliminate your agency, and I'm pretty sure they're going to vote to eliminate based on prior meetings. And we have neighborhood councils all over the city that are considering similar resolutions. Whatever the governor negotiates, the fact of the matter is we are going to eliminate your agency. And the fact that we use our freedom of speech under the First Amendment of the Constitution and ask the support of the governor, and your agency under Mr. Catello has refused to speak back and sit at that board. Mr. Catello has personally blocked meetings, has personally blocked the vice chair through his secretary, Angie Garcia, from holding a meeting at the police station under a 3-day requirement for notice. The fact you guys are representing a corrupt agency, Mr. Chairman, I respect you, you're a very bright man, but you're from an extremely wealthy real estate development corporation. You should be not leading this agency. Even a union attorney that speaks as an attorney before this board as if she's an attorney for the board, I respect you tremendously. I've heard you speak out of this place. You're very intelligent. But you shouldn't just be working for union voters, which my dad was one. You should be working for all workers. You should be stopping jobs from being eliminated just because they're low income, and they are absolutely lying to you. Look at their own video presentation shows about the biomed focus area. I urge you to eliminate every single Eastside agenda item from the budget that you're about to pass, $130 million, because they are illegal and they have not been before the board. You have disenfranchised the board and our community in violation of law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Any questions, comments from?
Yeah, I'll just say that I actually represent a nonprofit. I don't represent a union. I run a nonprofit organization. Most of our funding comes from grants, not from unions. I believe that unions are a key part of how we build a middle class, and I believe that we need to increase and improve all jobs, including jobs that low-income people hold, because I think that working poverty is something that is a scourge of our city and our region. And so I encourage anybody here to look at our website, lane.org, which can give you a sense of what I do and what my organization does. I have served on this board for 8.5 years for free. I have not been paid a dime for any of the work that I've done for many years. Many years I've put in thousands and thousands of hours. I have also wrote voted many different ways, oftentimes not with the majority, sometimes with the majority, and believe that, I feel comfortable that everything I've done is with integrity. I also believe that the people of this agency operate with integrity, and that there are mistakes made, don't always agree with everything, but that there is a tremendous amount of integrity and passion, and commitment to do the right thing. So I think, as I mentioned to Mr. Epstein, I really appreciate feedback that is not attack-oriented, that is respectful. And I think that this is a city of 4 million people, and the question of whether we have CRA or not stimulates jobs. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? What comes first, the cart or the horse? Do we need to create more jobs in order to improve our tax revenue, to have more money for services? Or is it the other way around? These are wrenching questions. I don't feel like I have the answer to whether this is the right thing to do or not. I think that this is a seed that's being planted to be able to slow things down in a reasonable way, rather than the abrupt, absolute end that is proposed by the governor, which I think would be a mistake. So I have gone back and forth. I'm not too sure about how I would vote. I think it's, that I'm willing to go along with it for now, with the hope that we come up with some sort of compromise that looks at the realities that we're facing right now as a state and a city, and that looks at the fact that we need to create jobs, we need to focus on improving the jobs that we have. We absolutely and desperately need affordable housing. We need permanent supportive housing. These are a lot of the things that the CRA does really, really well. So I'm hoping that we can come up with a compromise that is about retaining the most important parts of what our agency does, recognizing that we need to contribute to a solution, and that elimination is really not the best path forward. So I appreciate. I know on behalf of the entire board, we very much appreciate the public dialogue and people taking the time to come down here. We don't appreciate personal attacks and disrespect to a lot of us who are volunteering.
Our board of volunteers, we've been disrespected by being disenfranchised by Mr. McKellar.
I didn't interrupt you, so why do you interrupt me? I think that is...
This is our only chance at democracy.
Okay,
this gentleman's a disenfranchised elected member. You're not even elected.
The back and forth that we have really requires really respectful. And I also think that a lot of us when we hear our employees who work so hard, and maybe not perfect, but our employees they don't make a fortune working for this agency. They make a decent living. They work hard, and to hear our employees constantly attacked to make that personal. So I'm going to vote for this item today, but I want to state publicly that I have misgivings, but believe that we need to move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Janice. Any other commissioners have any comments?
I just have a question for staff, and I asked it, over a month ago, which is that this list of projects that make up $930 million, these are projects that you have taken from the 5-year implementation plan that have gone through the entire vetting process, including community review, public hearing.
Not true.
Not true.
Commissioner Television Chief of Operations, the list that is before you is more than $930 million. It actually represents a larger amount. So these projects all come from the 5-year implementation plan that has gone through public hearing processes in all 31 redevelopment.
That is not true in our district.
And those plans do have general categories that talk about housing opportunities, public improvements along major street corridors. So while specific streets may not have been named in those 5-year implementation plans, the work program is identified in those plans.
Can you address the issue specifically with regards to the east side and the process that these projects on the east side went through?
I don't have the particular details of that, but I do know that the list,
Of course not.
I've got the details if you let me speak.
that the list of projects there do directly tie to the 5-year implementation plan. Again, either by name or by work program category.
I'm sure the fifth project's real listed.
Let's be clear that no project on here that hasn't already been approved specifically and discreetly as a project automatically goes forward. That project, the allocation of the funding will have to come back to a public agency, no matter which it is, that with the public process, with the actual agreements, the written contracts that are, as we now should say, are signed in advance. All of that has to happen. None of this approved today guarantees that any of these projects will happen. It does guarantee, under state law, that everything will have a subsequent, public will have a subsequent opportunity to get involved in and talk about every single project that's on here.
Thank you, Commissioner. That is a very, very accurate description. Again, these are projects that were identified in the 5-year implementation plan or work programs identified in those 5-year implementation plans. And because of CEQA requirements, each project has to be vetted individually by the
Has not been before my agency.
Let it go, let it go.
16 projects.
Let it go.
I'm ready to, make a motion.
Okay,
I'll just add one final comment.
great.
Only because I spent a lot of time in Sacramento, and I appreciate some of the comments made by a couple of the speakers saying that, assuming that this money is actually going to go to the state and will come back. I think at least we have before us here specific work plans, specific projects, specific communities, specific actions where we're going to see dollars. And I think it's unfortunate that the governor has basically pitted us against firefighters, teachers, and cops. Because of speaking on the public dialogue, I don't think there's any guarantee that money coming back to us. At least what we see here is a plan of action by this agency to support underserved communities here in Los Angeles, and this should be supported.
I'd just like to say that I agree completely with the comments of both Commissioner Jansen and Commissioner Gathers, that there is no guarantee that the money will come back. That has been our concern from day one. It is unfortunate that we're being pitted against the other areas of the city. However, the intent here is to continue to have, this allows us to continue to have dialogue on an ongoing basis and hopefully have the money come back to be used for the citizens of Los Angeles based on our own tax increments. That's the entire goal and objective here. And candidly, with respect to your comment, Mr. Coker, about not being involved here because I work for a wealthy developer. Look, I'm a poor kid. I grew up in South Central LA, so you clearly don't know me. And
You're not poor anymore.
that wealthy developer isn't a developer. It's me. And I grew up in South Central. I got my start working in unions, working in the summer program as a high school student for LA Unified, and I bootstrapped myself all the way through the chain. And I take umbrage with people making comments like that.
Have the courage to stand up to the mayor who appointed you.
I have the courage to stand up for what I
Let it
think
go,
is right.
let it go.
And I think what's right.
This is corruption.
Pass this motion. So if there's a motion on the table,
I'm sorry, if I could just make one clarification, since the city council has not acted on it yet, it will be also subject to the city council.
subject to that. Right.
Okay, same motion, subject to city council approval.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Item 12, action item.